At the Capitol, a bill that would let you use gold and silver similar to the way we use cash now is one vote away from the governor's desk, and it has bipartisan support. Some supporters believe this is as close as Oklahoma can get when it comes to getting back to a gold standard that the U.S. hasn't had since President Nixon. When you hear the word gold depository, you usually think of Fort Knox, and some even think back to the James Bond villain Goldfinger.
Well, if you exploded in Fort Knox, the entire gold supply of the United States will be radioactive for 57 years. 58 to be exact.
After receiving approval in a Senate committee this week, two bills that would let you use gold and silver in the same way you use cash in your debit card is one vote away from Governor Stitt's desk, and it has bipartisan support.
I see this as another way, because you have another option, another way to pay. And it just brings better opportunities for wealth, more options as we move forward.
House Bill 1197 doesn't force but allows the state treasurer to set up a gold and silver depository. That depository would establish a stockpile of gold and silver. Then Oklahomans, through their banks, will have access to what is called transactional gold and silver. Oklahomans would be allowed to have a debit card connected to their gold and silver holdings and use it to buy everyday items from food all the way up to cars.
Unfortunately, today, people can't buy gold easily. You can go to Costco and you can buy a $3,000 little mini brick, and then when you want to spend it, you have to take it to a pawn shop, which has essentially shut out the least among us from being able to protect their money from inflation.
Complementing HB 1197 is another bill that makes gold and silver not a commodity but legal tender, like cash in the state of Oklahoma. Supporters of the two bills say U.S. economic policy makes the dollar worth less and less, but the two precious metals have never lost value and avoid other economic pressures that can make the dollar lose more of its value.
I can even see people who are carpenters, low wage earners all across the state, because of the value of the dollar, the way it fluctuates, actually getting their paychecks in gold or silver, where we do get some consistency with it.
Opponents of the bill say the bills create loopholes and tax shelters where people can hide their wealth from being properly taxed and inspected by the state and federal government. We are not the only state considering this, and others have already put gold policies in place. Texas has its own depository that's been equated to be a state-level Fort Knox that can be used by individuals, entities, and corporations. Utah has state-level and state-specific gold-backed notes, and Arkansas just passed a bill like what Oklahoma is considering. It is currently sitting on their governor's desk. Florida and Arizona are also working on their own policies. The price of gold right now is at an all-time high on the global markets. 1 ounce of gold today sits at over $3,300, up 25% from the start of the year. Gold is often looked at as a safe haven for investors when there's economic uncertainty, and the price began to spike when President Trump began to implement his new tariff policies.